Anybody had time to check anything before coming here, or
I've read
just been fresh from outside? Yeah. So I did program a bit the session for today. Okay, and we're trying to be a little bit more organized. So if new people come, it's easier for them to follow, and also that when people join something, they know a little bit more what's happening before. But anyway, today the idea is to have one more brainstorm session about what the space can be. So basically, it's a little bit open still, but I would like us to find a few questions to answer today, okay, with the brainstorm. And then in the end, we have a workout session where we, instead of push-ups, we go and do a few tasks to make sure that everything is documented, we know where everything is, and also a round discussion where there's a few decision making to do, and then that's it. So basically, the intention is an ideation session about the space concept and the projects that it's made of. This is my proposal, and I'm going to ask you to also say what do you want from the session. Okay, so we'll do that soon. So what we want from it is to get a lot of ideas. So we're going to grab all of these ideas into one place. I created this digital board inside the program that is called Padlet. There's a link in the document, so if you want to check that. And we'll go there soon, so don't worry yet. What is that about? And also, one other thing that I propose is for us to find the project leaders for the things that are being done. So basically, if I'm proposing something today about like, this is what I wanted to happen, this is what I needed to happen, this is my project inside the project, and I'm leading it. Basically, it's that. And then the end, a little bit of action planning, what is to be done, and who's not doing what, and all that stuff. So the schedule goes a little bit like the intro I'm doing right now. Then we have a check-in. Everybody says, what do you want from the session? Then we do a half-an-hour brainstorm. We'll make a short break for everybody to reflect for a little bit, and then we come back together at 3, where we will add anything we thought about. We'll have questions. Yeah, well, the time is wrong. Doesn't matter. But it's 1 hour. And then we do the discussion rounds for 20 minutes. And then we finish up with a few of the tasks. We do a wrap up about the session, and it's done. We need facilitator. That's me today. Okay. Hopefully it's not me always. Please.
I think it's good that you're the facilitator, because facilitators don't get to talk so much.
That's good. We are all participants today. Normally the facilitator shouldn't be a participant, but today I am. I would like everyone to be note takers. Okay, so if you have paper around and a pen would be great. And if not, open a document in the laptop and you can write there. You can also do directly to the Padlet thingy. And timekeeper, okay? I'll be that, but I'm enrolling Gabrielle to help with that. Okay, let's try to keep up with time, and everybody else. Okay, so let's try to keep up with the time so this session's actually more productive and we I know it's always nice to be social and have fun in these sessions, and we'll try to do that every time. But if it's not productive, every time we have a session, we start thinking, should I go? Do I have something else to do? Okay.
Every time we go into the next session, can you tell me how long that session bit will be? Just to remind me.
Yeah, if you open the doc, the schedule is all there.
It's just 1 hour.
I can actually share. What Tita?
Share it in the chat.
Can you share here? The doc. Yeah.
In the chat.
Open the documents and share with everybody here. So, what is the rules for today? If you're noticing I'm doing this thing, it's called I do art, and I do art is a method for meetings. Okay, so I do art means I for intention, DEO for desired outcomes, A for agenda, R for roles, R for rules, and time. Okay, so the rules are: stay focused, stay on time, take notes. This is hard. You know, you're brainstorming and you want to take notes. This is really hard, but let's all try to do that. For the brainstorm, we'll go through that again. For the brainstorm, it's quantity matter. Okay, so we want a lot of ideas. We want to build on top of ideas, so we want to use a lot of yes and we don't want to make decisions during the brainstorm. So if you have an idea, let's not go through, oh, I don't think that would work, or that's too expensive, or isn't that too big? So it's just
no buts.
Yeah, take the ideas, and if you hear something that you like, you build on top and like, yes, and that. So like a restaurant with the kids area, you know, or something like that. We defer judgment means let's not discuss during the brainstorm about those. We'll have then the discussion rounds for that. Okay. Everybody counts, so everybody's participating. We'll go with in rounds, and we'll have times for those things. Okay. So don't be shy and don't be like, I don't have really a good idea for now. And there's no stupid ideas. We're all now pretty comfortable here, except maybe Ben kind of looking at us a little bit like, who are these weird people? And then, yeah, so then for the workouts, because it's after the brainstorm, we still need to do things. We need to energize the team. Take something that you know, take something that nobody wants. So, you know, I know how to do this, I'll go do it. Nobody's taking care of this, I'll take care of that, okay? Give feedback, okay, and celebrate. So in the end, if we finish something, we celebrate. 2 hours. And then now, check-ins. And check-in is just, how do you feel? And you can take a little bit longer, 2 seconds more, to say what you wanted to take from today, okay? From the session today. Either achievement in a task or as an idea or answering some questions. So I'll go first, I'll try the stone, and then everybody goes. Okay. So I'm good. As always, so we will play 13 in Finland, so I'm a little bit tired, excited, and today I would like to find something for everybody that they would feel excited about. Who wants to go next?
I'm good. I'm very pregnant, so I don't have much else going on right now. Yeah, I think for me as well, for today is that everybody feels excited and that everybody has, if not a different role, but at least something that it's not just a dream project, that everybody would get something more touchable to grab on, to know where to go and what to do. That.
So next.
Lights?
I'm sorry. Just get on. I'll come back. Hello.
Sorry. For me, I just want to have like more clarity into what we're trying to do with this project, and also see what our roles are going to be.
I'm feeling excited about having this call and everyone getting together and having a focused discussion on this topic in particular. I'm a bit distracted because I was running around masks on the other side of the computer. And I am hoping to feel energized, I think, and inspired by everybody's ideas, and to have more clarity, to kind of picture it a bit more, what it might be.
I'm feeling like quite relaxed, but a bit like distracted as well, I guess. Dude running around doing things with sellotape right now. Let's show him and he'll run away. There we go.
Might go away now.
Then what I'd like to get from this call, I guess, like personally, I'd like to get a sense of, like, I'd like to feel engaged. I've not engaged with the project enough, so I'm happy to like engage and jump in. That feels good, and I'm like excited to feel excited. I'm like a meta layer away, but I'm excited to feel excited about like you say, the tangible elements of the project, the stuff we can do, and I can like build a picture in my head, and obsess over, and like lose sleep over the stuff. That's what I'm like excited to be excited about. That's me.
Okay. Hello, it's for me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Benoit. So I'm interested to know what this thing is about. I'm not in that field at all. I'm starting in the real estate in Portugal. I got a training in Lisbon to work with a company called Remax. And now I'm going to move to the agency in Oporto. I'm starting in this new field and I find it very interesting. I have already a few leads. I'm quite motivated by that. But as I know that Lois is very interested in co-working spaces and kind of bed and breakfast, surfing, cafe stuff. I want to know what this is about. I know that Pedro, you have already opened a few co-working spaces, and me, I'd be very interested to know about concrete things like the market. For example, is there already some co-working spaces in Peniche? If yes, what's their size? How could you position yourself there? Things like that.
Good.
Ben, so can you take note of those questions? So in the discussion, then we talk about those, just to make sure we don't miss them, okay?
Sure.
Who's missing? Tita. She's always trying to stay.
Am I muted? Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Yes, I'm good. And what do I want from this? Yeah, I want all of those things that you said already. So yeah, get the better, exciting, more defined picture of the project, and feel the wheels engaging and the project going.
Very good. We're done. No one missing there. So we're just 2 minutes late, even though we started 10 minutes late. Okay. So we're going to start with the brainstorm now. So how does this work? So if you have, this is really good if you have this or this and one of these. That's just faster to do, but it can also work on the phone. It can also work on the tablet or in your computer, okay? So what you can also, if you want the document there, you can use that document already, just do a paragraph and open it right there. We also have, if you've seen in the document, there's a link for a theme called Padlet, and I created these notes. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong place. So in this thing is where we will end up today with all the ideas, okay? So basically it's kind of like a board where we would glue the post-its, but digitally, okay? So in the end, we're not going to do that now. If you want, if you're really used to that, like Tita will do for sure, you go there and you already create there. Otherwise, this is fine. It's actually better because we don't mess up with technology while we're thinking. So what we're going to do is we're going to give like 3 minutes for everyone. And during these 3 minutes, each of us separately will write as many ideas as possible, okay, separately. So you write a note, can be just a word, so you remember that, and you make note of that. And then you might even write a little bit more about it, like while you're speaking, like I have this idea. And then after 3 minutes, we go in rounds. Each person talks about one idea, we go to the next. And during that phase, when someone is talking about his idea or her idea, what happens is that anybody at that moment can add on top. So if you have nothing to say, it's fine. But if you want to add on top, it's that moment, okay? We can also go back to them afterwards, no problem, okay? So this always builds more ideas as we do. The 2 questions that are there right now for the brainstorm are, what are the projects inside the project? Okay, and this can be anything right now. It can be something very specific, like you already have an idea, like Lois has her idea of a type of restaurant or type of catering business, cafeteria, whatever. And then she proposes that. But we don't want to just stick, for the next 3 minutes, we don't want to just stick to one idea. We want to go to several that interests you, or it's just a crazy idea to excite the others and to make think of what the space could be, okay? And then we'll do maybe another round around this. We'll see how it goes after the first round. And then maybe we do one, which is about how do these projects look like. So if I think of, I'm going to give this an example, but I'm not trying to push it. So if it's the restaurant, we would give an idea about the restaurant. So then it's free. We can do ideas about, so about that surf shop in the space, it would be cool to have boards to rent, okay? This type of thing. So we start now, it's now 57, so by 1:30, everybody will close. We can talk if you want, we can make questions if you want, but by one, you write your ideas, okay? So it's about what are the projects, what are the possible projects for this space? Think of a space that goes all over Peniche, that impacts everyone locally and non-locally, that attracts people to the space and to the projects inside of it.
And should we just write these individually for now, or can we put it in the Padlet, Pedro?
If you want to put them in the Padlet already, it's fine. If you can do that. But if not, later it's even better because you don't need to be dealing with them.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
So yeah, I'll call you when it's ready. We'll stay here, I mean. And go quick. We need a lot of ideas. So don't stay wandering around. It can be crazy ideas. There's no stupid ideas, okay?
Would you like?
I'm just thinking of one thing. No, no. Maybe we should see things up here.
One minute. We're good. Everybody good? Yes? How did you
Yes.
feel? You have a lot of ideas, or you got stuck?
I feel excited.
Had lots of ideas.
Yeah, just the like tip. You know, when you like start coming up with ideas and then you just suddenly feel you have access to 100 more in the next 10 minutes.
Exactly. So it looks a little bit like this mine, okay? And what we're going to do now is I'll take a bit like this, for example. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go in rounds very quickly. And we're going to say one idea, talk a little bit about it, and then go. And then the next and the next. And we can always have, remember, we can always stop to end this, okay? Yeah, that's it. Nothing else for now. Just take notes, okay? As you talk about your idea, if you think about something else, add a note about it afterwards, okay? If there's something that comes up on top of that. Right, so who wants to go first?
You.
Lice? Who's that?
No, you. You first.
Me? Okay, I'll go with the big one. Okay, It's something new that came up in the next day. It's something that I want to talk a lot more about. But basically, it's a design lab where we would work on real projects using design processes. And the idea would be that in this space workshop mix of things, we would actually work on real problems with any type of person. So not just designers, any type of person like community and designers as well, and architects and the scientists, to create real solutions. And people would come to this design lab to learn about design, because design is so cool, because everybody nowadays wants to know what is design thinking. And they would do it for free. I mean, it would be free to learn. But they imagine there's a 1 week program, and during that 1 week, everybody would be working for that solution. And then what we could do is sell those solutions to companies. So companies could come with real problems and we could work for them. So they would pay for us to keep up the design lab. Second would be we could get funding. That's it. That's the
Can I yes and you, Pedro? I get very excited when there's talk of using design thinking for various things. Yeah, I was thinking how like it would be awesome to use those design processes to solve local community problems in Peniche. Have you frozen? Is he frozen? It looks like he's scratching his beard like very, very slowly.
Turn into pixelated.
Ah, yeah.
Good.
I think they're lagging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello?
It's set up again now.
I can't do anything about that. But we are listening to you. Yes, good.
Can you hear all right, Pedro?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just adding to your idea in saying that I don't know if I heard this bit right, but it made me think of using design processes to solve local or community issues. The other one is I think it would be really interesting to use design thinking to do prototyping of the space itself. If we like had, I don't know, cardboard furniture and cardboard walls for a week, and then we move them around based on feedback until we get the perfect space. Only then do we put up static, stuff so that the space has been tested. I think that could be really, really fun. And doing that with kids could be great too.
Yeah, they're the best creative thinkers ever.
What was the last thing you said?
Doing it with some kids could be great as well. So, yeah, for instance, for them to design their own space or whatever using some of these processes. Because design thinking is based on an understanding of needs and it's creative, I think it's a wonderful thing for young humans to learn.
Wants to go? No one wants to go?
I had this. It kind of matches with this. So it's doing lots of things with lots of different things and people. That's what I wrote. So it kind of relates with this.
So by that, do you mean having lots of different types of people in the space, like diverse?
Also, yeah. And then the design lab also has that it's not just designers. And it's not just one type of user, it's all kinds of people and ages and fields and work. So
I had the idea of including all ages as well. I have a real project for including not only kids but also elderly people and people who normally would not be included in
And design, the whole purpose of these design processes is that people feel heard. So it's an amazing opportunity for people who don't normally feel heard to feel heard and to be included.
All right, guys, let's go a little bit faster on the ideas. Their ideas are really good, so just try to be like quick. Like,
okay. I have some ideas too.
I think you can just give one first.
I can give you one idea. So it's here. I already noted a lot, but
Nice.
the first idea is to use bikes to move in and out of the co-working space. So it gives the user a freedom of movement, which is important to feel free. It's not only to be in front of computers. Sometimes you just want to get out and just go to the beach. And in the same spirit, you could equip the bike with just a board holder, you know, like a system to hold surfboards. Simple.
And that could be included in the library of things, which is, you know what is a library of things? It's basically a sharing system that is like a library, but it includes tools and books and bikes and cars and know-how, whatever.
What did you show?
Library of things.
I have this. So it's a fun outside space to play. Also relates with the bikes and the.
I also have space for big things, whether it's inside or outside, for workshops, events, concerts, physical movement.
Yeah.
It's woodwork.
In connection with that, I also have something called the recyclery. Like here in France, they have something like they have workshops to repair things, like if it's bikes or even clothes or sometimes machines, so that things that are broken down or old can be kind of used again.
Next.
So I have, I guess I'll call it an on-school space. Like basically for somehow the space to be a place where you can like co-work with us or co-play with us, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I imagine it in lots of different ways. I think the design of the space for it to be something that children can play and learn and interact in is important to me. And probably beyond the space to actually have some facilitators to help support the children in finding their own thing, their own direction. I think the way I've been imagining it is I can really imagine the kids being involved in some of the creation, in the recyclerie or in the woodwork outside in the garden or in designing the space. That's the thing that's top of my mind.
I imagine, not as a separate space, but one that's part of the kind of collaborative space that people
Gabrielle, can you speak a little bit louder and to the screen so the microphone works? Sorry.
I speak really quietly. So yeah, I was saying that I also imagine that as a kind of learning space, learning and play space for kids that is connected with the adult spaces as well. It's not like a separate thing, and where so that the children and adults can learn and play with each other, really, on whether it's a community space idea or whether it's actually sharing some of our skills of whether it's a yoga class for kids or surfing all together one afternoon, and some of the kind of social aspects as well. I think I would love to see.
I have a really old idea for an event to do like a warehouse, which would be go to a company that has a lot of packaging on cardboard.
Yes.
Take a lot of cardboard and then a couple of adults, not just to be there, just to help with like tools like scissors and knives and tape and glue, and just build the biggest sections with cardboard. And I have a name for it. It would be called Inventarium.
What is it called? Sorry.
Inventarium.
Ah, that's awesome. Kids would. Our daughter would love that.
Let's do it.
I just read a little bit outside, but just read really nice book today for the kids that was like this. That was about the boy who always got everything, and then for Christmas, by accident, his gifts were changed into a pile of trash wood, and he was the happiest boy. It was amazing. For me, it's really important that it has a shared community kitchen, a full kitchen.
Yes, and it would be amazing if you could make it work. It would be the same kitchen that would be used for commercial use. It would be so organized that you could have it like that. And we are, yeah, I was already going.
In connection with that, it would be great if we could also do workshops in the shared kitchen space. Like we could do different cuisine. Like I love Mexican food. We could do Asian types of food and kind of bring in the community as well if they want to learn making different dishes.
Yes, and we have an event that we did in the last co-working space. It's called the Kitchen Talk.
Ah.
So what we do is we invite someone who's really cool and has a really nice story to share, but that person is also cooking for us. And, and we end up eating at the table the food that the person did, finishing
while
the story. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It was amazing, yeah.
And really cool to have a shared garden. Yes.
And a real garden, real amount of food, not just herbs.
Also for the kids would be nice.
It would be great for kids to go and get food out of. And also about the what Lois said about the Mexican different cuisines, for example, could have different kinds of language and culture classes or introductions by who visit there.
I have here, I'm going to launch one really weird. It would be amazing if we would have something traditional.
Fish? What?
Mongery. It's a how do you say it in Portuguese?
Shop.
A shop, fish shop, yeah.
Yeah.
Uma peixaria.
Peixaria?
Yeah. So I have this. This is just to push you, because how would be amazing in the same space have traditional things done in an innovative way, but not like a hipster fishmongery. Would be the fishermen, traditional fishermen, helped by us do a better fishmongery inside the space. Or, I don't know if you have space for something like that, but something like that. Are we done?
I have one. I have art spaces.
Oh, yeah.
I have a project that would make research cool again. That would bring their research projects and that they would be heard and that they would be interesting and that they would be maybe shared already before the paper is done.
Yeah. I think that would fit really well with the design lab, especially trying to join like scientific research and with the help of design, because research is always, everybody imagines like it's so boring and academic and all that. So how could we use design to make research fun?
And philosophically, instead of you do work and then you research and then you share the research, it's like do the work in a glass bowl so that everyone can see what's happening. If it's all public, then people can learn as you make.
Yeah.
It's more of a documentary than research in that sense. It'd be really beautiful.
Action research. You can share with the community directly then as well in space. In like science, if you've heard of science cafes, like that, where you host a social event to then share the research outcomes with like a local community. And there you can do that. Can I add my yes? Another has anyone? I missed a few things. I don't know if anyone added a yoga, meditation, and wellness space. Yes. And then definitely need that in that links with the surfing and then because then it's all about feeding in. I think we all kind of have a way of being and wanting to integrate work and life and having a quality of life, and I think all of those things are working with the environment and with food well and designing our community. And I think part of that for me is also about your physical and your mental space and mental wellness. So having something that is a space for people to go and be calm and connect with themselves and reflect would be amazing. And with kids as well, and with also older community members of Peniche and out for different people like that.
So let's go now one last round, everyone, and you pick up your last couple of ideas you have and you push them something like completely different that we haven't talked about. We will then add those all to the Padlet, okay? So it's not a problem. It is just inspiration for now. So let's go one last thing. I'll put here, to go after what Gabrielle said, that room should be like really good quality room with good light and space, and could be used for every other types of activities that would always be available for, for dancing and yoga and gymnastics and playing with the kids and an event and that. Of course, a co-working space, but the co-working space now gets another flavor, which is it's not so much about the co-working space. Co-working space is almost like a tool for all of these things, because all of us would need to work together with other people. We would bring teams. The people that would be in the design lab would need some time. And in this space would need focus rooms for people to focus for certain type of tasks or focus areas, and team spaces. And team spaces means that we would have companies inside of the space that would behave as they do, even if they're segregated in another room, but they're nearby and they can bring, ideas, projects, help to pay rent and all that.
I had one more thing that was not mentioned, that was accommodation. Maybe not necessarily in the same space, but in the same concept. Accommodation for a long period or for a short period, and type of co-living space. And also like thinking of the co-working space or whatever it is, to have like a living room kind of feeling that anybody can feel at home, whether they just come visit or whether they spend all of their hours there.
Can I add on top?
Yes, go.
Yes, I was thinking it would be really nice to have a space where you could, it's not a focus room, it's a space where you could be and rest, because I know that there's times and situations where people would need a break and be, but not separate, like at the co-work space or something like a off room.
Off room.
Who goes? Go.
I have one.
Yes.
I thought of it would be nice to have some moments shared together. Okay, I would call it a fast education fix. So it means you would get history classes or geography or politics or math or physics or whatever. Imagine you have someone who is a specialist in a certain domain and he puts his knowledge at the service of other people of the community. But it's like a fix. It's like what you didn't learn through education, you know more.
Yeah.
Then you get fixed.
Really good. Yeah. Who goes? Gabs.
I think you guys have covered most of the other things I had, like about having a quiet space or studios, as well as a co-work, like place where you can collaborate with people, but also have other workspaces and quiet spaces, sleep spaces and off-day spaces. So maybe one thing I'll just add on the learning play space for children, where we were trying to imagine animals. Either one of them.
Ivor specifically said he wanted toy animals.
And
we asked for ideas before.
And and for the space that is for them, even though it would be connected to us, I imagine also within that to have different, like, quiet space, somewhere where they can explore woodwork or do other kind of crafts, and also where they can collaborate and where they can have access to the garden and maybe work on the vegetable patch and things like that. So yeah, just that, imagining that space more.
I'd love to have, this is less about the space and more about how the space works. I'd love to have some sort of town hall meetings or weekly council meetings or whatever, but set processes by which the people who live and work in this space together make some decisions together or sort out tensions together or redesign bits together. But to really have like those like self-organization processes sort of formally there from the beginning would be wonderful.
Lloyd, what's your last?
I think it's been mentioned, the library, but more of like multilingual library for books, and maybe have a lot of board games, things that people can do together. Because we were in the Swedish Institute in Paris recently, and they had like different things, like parents doing board games with kids, and kids can just go from one place to another, some storytelling, some art workshops, so similar to what John already mentioned.
I need to add, I was going to say an event like monthly or something with board games, because yes, I'm hooked.
Right. Yeah, how are you? How are you feeling?
Good.
Good. Now it's just starting, right?
Yeah.
It always happens, these some brainstorms, so don't let it stop there. So when we start then adding the ideas to the place where we're going to put all the ideas in the Padlet, we can add more, okay? So it's not a problem. And if you didn't talk about something yet, it's to bring there. So the discussion now that comes afterwards is basically how do we make this happen? How do we go from these ideas? So what I propose now is we have a small break, like 5 minutes, and what I'm going to ask for each of you is to, well, you can go pee, drink water, do whatever you need to do, but reflect on the ideas we talked. Try to stay with a couple of them that really strike you, stroke on you, and that you think they're really strong for you. That's something that you really would like to be part of. And we'll see in by 6:05. So it's for you 4:05, and it's for you what, 10:05 gaps?
Right.
9:05.
9. Okay, so in 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Later.
we're all still here.
Just me.
Hello.
I love Padlet, Pedro. I've been using Mural.
Yeah.
Padlet's good. Padlet's like a lot simpler than Mural. Mural's a bit too much.
I've never seen it before. Can I see?
Yeah, we were researching a little bit
I didn't know
ago.
it.
We found it.
You
And
use
just yesterday became paid, so you can have 5 Padlets for free, and then you have to pay. But it's fine.
Wanting to break even.
Yeah, they wrote a really nice message.
Yeah.
What did you write?
Moi from Finland. Bonjour, France. Hola, Costa Rica.
Hola.
Well, it sounds like the Eurovision.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nil point
Nil point.
for Costa Rica.
Maybe you should have a show or a talk show or something, Pedro.
No, please not. I'll just.
And now on the line from Finland, we have Pedro. Hello, Pedro.
Guy who talks too much. Yeah. Right. So what is going to happen now? It's we're going to try, and this is maybe one of the hardest tasks to be done because trying to stay focused on a topic when everything is so yet to discover, it's really hard. So what we're going to try is in the next 3 minutes, decide together what are the things that we need answered, that we need like really. So we had this brainstorm, we have all these ideas, and we're excited about it. So what are the answers that we need to make them happen? Like, I need these to be able to go there. And we'll put all of those in the document, and then we'll go one by one. And basically, we'll make it like in a question. And then the group, everybody will have their turn talking about it. Sometimes you can even go like, I agree with what everybody said, and I'm fine with that. Or we can add. It's a little bit different from a brainstorm, okay? So it's now it's opinion, and it's more like from your point of view, okay? I added there 2 questions. I don't know if they are still the most important ones, okay, after where we are right now. And I put who's pushing for what. Okay, that means who's leading what, who's interested in doing what in the project. Okay. And can be I'm just interested in my own project, because that one project is actually the project in itself. Because if we're just doing a space and expecting that we get there and then a lot of people will come and start doing their own projects in our space, you don't forget that. We have done that in the past so many times. We always know that if it's not you that are putting the example of doing things in a certain way, the others won't come. So it's not a case of build and they will come. Okay. And the other question that I put was, what needs to happen for this to happen? Okay, so this is 2 questions that I put. What I would like to ask you now is, what else would you ask today to the group? Okay? And I'm not going to add any more questions myself. Nobody's going to talk now. Ben had a couple of good questions if you want to add now.
Okay.
And it's good actually, Ben.
So
it's actually good that because you're the stranger in the group, the person that knows the least the rest. So it's good to have that view. So if you can bring something from that, like seeing from outside.
okay, with pleasure. first thing is the first question I'm asking myself is about the feasibility of the whole project, whether you are going to do your targeting only, let's say, the co-working part of the project, or also the accommodation part as well, for example, and how you would manage to do both, because it's two different kind of jobs. One job is kind of linked to hostel management, let's say, and the other one is more into organizing a community of people who are going to exchange and work together or exchange ideas. I think this is why people go to co-work. Maybe I'm wrong, huh? But my idea is why they go to these spaces is not to be isolated first, and so they feel included and in a community of people, and they can.
How can we put that in one question? Or how could we?
Okay. So, okay, let's make it very short.
Yeah.
How likely is this going to, okay, is it possible, is it going to happen? Simple.
Okay, it's going to happen. It's a question. I'm going to add it here. I would put that actually before everything else. It's going to happen, because if it doesn't happen, we don't need to answer any more questions.
Is it easy to put it up or not? Voila. Because okay, it was a bit rough. I'm sorry, it was a bit rough, but okay.
Somebody, I think it's
how likely is this
going to happen, and how hard? Exactly. All right.
I think it's pretty important question.
Yeah. Anything else?
For me, it's a question about the financial sustainability, or how do we fund it? How to fund the project?
How do we?
What is the area you need? Land area, the space you need, and how much? Yeah, it goes back to finance. How much it costs to rent such space or buy it? I don't know. Is there some areas available in Peniche yet? Already spotted?
I mean, the real estate.
Yeah, the real estate.
So, we need you, Ben.
Well, I can try to manage to find someone there. I don't know. We'll see.
Very much.
You'll make a contact there.
I'm going to rephrase, and you tell me if you agree, okay, Ben? So, what do we need for it to happen, and like how much space? And everybody else, if I'm writing this and it doesn't make sense, so you would rephrase it somewhere else, somehow. We have now 5 questions, okay?
For me also is fundamental, how do we include all ages in one space without having walls in between?
How do we...
In one, if you imagine a co-working space is a building, how do we mix people, blend people in the space without putting kids in one room, the elderly people in one room, the co-working people in one room?
Okay, so I rephrase it like this.
Yes.
How do we make it open for everyone?
Yes.
/ anyone? Does that help?
Yes.
Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have examples of age cohabitation, like people of different age mixing up together? I find this a very interesting question, knowing that we middle-aged, let's say, we can learn from the youngs. It's very interesting to see how they learn. and we also can learn from other people so much. And it's breaking the age barrier in terms of learning is it's a very interesting thing.
I think that goes into
but it also,
question.
I think it's easier to break the age barriers concerning the old people, because for the young crowd, there is ethical issues to that, because they will be confronted to adults. And there is definitely an ethical issue with that. How do you expose a kid to adults?
Mhm.
Okay.
How do you expose adults to kids, I would say.
Yeah. Also the noise and everything.
So I think that fits into what Vika put in the question. So how does this work for a lot of people? I think then when we talk about it, we can go in which direction it's more interesting for us. Okay. So are we good? Questions? Do we want to add something else?
I have I'm trying to I'd like you to help me formulate the question, but it's around, I guess I have a perspective which is that we have like a long view and lots of ideas, but prototyping that small and learning and then carrying on with those learnings is, I think, like sensible, smart, fast, etc. My question is, so then I think my question is, what needs to happen in order for a prototype to happen, maybe? Or maybe my question is, what makes a good prototype of this space? I think it might be something like that.
So kind of like, what's the
MVP?
The pre-process, you know, like what needs to happen before the. No, it's not really that. It's more like.
Maybe the question is how to test this.
Yeah, maybe that's, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put that as the last one, okay?
Yeah.
And kind of like prioritizing it not by importance, but more like in the history of the project. How do they do it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How to test.
Petro?
I want to just clarify on my question that the reason why I'm asking it isn't to test it and we decide we can't do it. It's to test it and figure out how to do it. It's like to create momentum and speed. It's absolutely not to kill anything. Just to be totally clear on that, it's purely optimism.
Pedro, did we already include like how do we make this sustainable? Is that something we can ask right now, or
we put how do we fund it? So okay.
But don't you think something like funding it is in the beginning, but making it sustainable would be how do we make sure that we have this resources to keep this thing going?
I added how do we fund it, make it sustainable.
All right, that would be cool.
But funding it is normally
long term.
It's
like fund it sustainably.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like VC funding. Anyway, if you know anybody rich who wants to VC, that's fine.
I know.
What is it?
I know someone rich.
Okay.
There is Google. Google is opening in Whereas a center for support.
We can make the design lab from Google.
For example, you can partner with a company like that and have some guys of their company come train to your place or just exchange Brainstorm.
Yeah.
Just
that's actually
freshen up their brands. No.
Oh, that's here. Partnerships.
Hello.
All right. How are we? Are we good with these questions? I think we take a lot of information from these ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So how it's going to work? I think we can do it. Just remember, keep the energy high. Okay. So also the momentum, like make it sure that, for example, don't let me babble for too long. I have that tendency. Also, don't go like because we start thinking of thinking our process of thinking normally is to be quiet and go somewhere else. So for the next 20 minutes, let's really stay here, really focused. All of us really pay attention. Again, I really need to ask everyone to take notes. Okay, we will need to add this to the project afterwards. Okay, and I really need that comes the view from everyone, and it's not just mine. Okay, because mine will always be an adaptation from yours. Let's try to answer everything, and how it goes is each one gets a minute. Okay, and you can always pass. You can always pass. You can say, "I'm still thinking." We go again and get back to you. Okay. But let's go 1 minute each person and stay focused on it, okay? Each question. I'm going to number them now. So the questions are, is it going to happen? And how hard it is to happen? Okay? Second question is, how do we fund it and make it sustainable? Third is, what do we need for it to happen and how much space? For example, how much space? How do we make it open for everyone, anyone? And who's pushing for what? And what needs to happen for this to happen? And how to test this prototype, okay? So when you take notes, then you put a number, and you take notes under that number, and then we come back to the document, and we'll add those here, okay? So, first question. We'll go in rounds. Let's do like this. I don't know how it looks for you, but Tika, me, Ben, Lois, Tita, John, Gabs. Okay? And then Tika again. So we'll have one turn per person, but if you really need to say something in the end of the question, like you say, no, this is really important, I need to add this now, not later. You can always say, hey, I need just another few seconds, okay? So let's do this. We have a 22, meaning that we would have 20 minutes, 30 minutes max, please, okay? So let's do 5 minutes per question, or less. Okay, first question is it going to happen? How hard it is? It's your own opinion, okay?
My own opinion is that, or my personal and our family, is this going to happen? It depends on how big, depending on the team that we get around. But we as a family have decided that this needs to happen for us. And I guess we've also made the decision that how hard it will be doesn't really matter. Of course, if we are breaking apart, then it's another issue, but we're pretty ready to push through the rock. And then.
He's crying already.
Yeah, almost.
Okay, me, I need to put the time. Let's stop that. It's the same answer as with Pika. And for me, I will add that it's not just it's important, and our first decision to start this project was really to think about our family and how we want to live in the future. But it's also how common as a company work and how the type of change we want to have in the world. So, and again, is the size of it is not really important. Like if it's small, like we have a co-working space with 20 people that come and go, and we have a few projects incubating there or using it as their base camp, it's fine. If it's our fully ambitious projects, with shops and restaurants and co-working space and workshops and warehouse and dance room and yoga classes and all that, even better. But that doesn't change for us if it's going to happen or not. So it's not all or nothing. So we're good with a few things, and above all, we need to live nearby. And I spoke too much. So now goes Ben.
Well, I was thinking it's question of costs. Did you already define? Okay, I'm not. Okay, so Lois is going to speak for me. I think.
You.
How is your feeling?
My feeling. Okay, I have one thing that crossed my mind right now, but you need to keep it corporate somehow. You need to keep a certain neutrality in the project, because it's a good thing. There's a lot of dreams there, and I can really feel it. You're excited. Everybody's excited, but it's really good to keep the feet on the ground, make a good market study, good market research, really study the figures, turn this into. This is not a non-profit organization, so this is the idea. It's like me, if you start to talk to me and you start to go with figures, I will materialize this thing very much. Thanks, Break.
Can you don't forget to take notes, okay? So I know it's hard, but just write a few words that will make you remember afterwards, okay?
Okay.
For me, I know it's gonna happen, and I don't think it's gonna be that easy.
Wow. John, no, Tita.
Wait, I'm just taking notes. Oh, I'm lost in. Is it going to happen? Yes. And how hard? It's really difficult for me to. I know it's hard. I think like we have done it in a way. It was different. And yeah, but it's we know we're going to do it, and we're just gonna get to work and do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
John.
I mean, they're difficult questions. Is it going to happen? That's a choice. I choose yes. How hard is it? My choice is to expect it to be hard, but to take the path of least resistance, to test the smallest, easiest thing 10 times until it's not small anymore. So in short, is it going to happen? Yes. Is it hard? How hard? As hard as we want it to be. Like, it's just all to us, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, like everyone else said, yes, I think it's going to happen. I think what it will actually be at the end of what we all go through might be different to what we're imagining now, and it will be a journey, a path of getting there, of testing and growing. Yeah, I believe it will happen. I think kind of as John said, it can be as hard or as easy as we want to make it. If we want to make it everything like a small city in itself for every being and every need possible, then it's going to be quite hard. But if we start small with the kind of basics of what we can do and then build from that and not expect it to kind of be some kind of enterprise overnight, then I think we can make it happen. And it might be challenging and we might learn a lot along the way, hopefully, but not destroy our relationships or go broke.
Exactly 1 minute.
Was it? Oh, cool.
Okay, so now, does anybody still need something on this question? Good brain. Good. Okay, I'm good.
So
We can't answer everything. Of course, we could stay hours just discussing one of these questions. Now we're kind of like adding contents. We're understanding each other. We're learning about each other, and we can always bring these topics back to conversation in group, in chat, together, ask for a meeting, whatever, you know. So this is our first thinking together about these questions, okay? So let's do now the other way around. So Gab starts, so it's not her, always the last one. And the second question is, how do we fund it? How do we make it sustainable? Oh.
Okay, haven't thought about this loads, but I guess there are lots of options about Kickstarters and crowdfunding. We can look at local funding opportunities from the council. Then there, we can also have a subscription model for any of the services and look at co-working spaces. Just that alone, you can get like hourly rates, daily rates, different monthly subscriptions. But I guess I'm not imagining it either to make a huge profit. So I'm just imagining it that we can. It's mainly a space. It's about the impact and the space for me of what it brings to the people rather than making. I'm not imagining to get rich from it or anything. There's loads of funding possibilities. It's an area of work for us.
Right.
I'm writing my thoughts down.
John?
How do we fund it? There are lots of different ways to fund it. I would suggest we try to fund it in multiple ways because that's more resilient. Typically, I think there are two ways to fund it, and we can do both. One is few large amounts of money, like funding, grants, those kind of things, and the other one is many small amounts of money, which can range. Maybe the few big is grants. The middle one is like us all, for instance, so a reasonably small group of people paying bits. And then one is large amounts paying small, which could be like Rika's research idea earlier. People like already pay £5 a month to constantly get these kind of thoughts. There could be some ways of doing it like that. So I think like there's a brainstorm to do around ways in which we can get few big funders and many small funders. Like we all have value to provide in return for money. I feel comfortable that we can all do that.
Lois. No, Peter. Sorry, Lois.
Can I pass? I'm thinking, I'm writing in the, yeah.
You want to pass?
Yeah, yeah, I'll go after.
Lois?
Just a few ideas. In addition to like subscription, what we've discussed before about like serving food and getting people to pay on an hourly basis and have them get, products for that amount. Accommodation definitely will bring in money. Products as well if we have the garden. And I don't know, maybe people who will do certain things like ceramics, art, photography. As John said, there could be talents that we could put together and change. Services, as you've mentioned, like we all have different specialties. Research. I've done a lot of blogging, writing content, social media, things like that. And you could also use it for event spaces. Encourage people to go into workshops, and maybe even sponsorship, corporate sponsorships. Sorry, that was a lot.
okay, I'm just a stranger here, so just wanted to know, you want to do this as an incorporated business, And if yes, who are going to be the shareholders? What do you imagine? Who would be there? Who are like? Is it going to be like you like let's say two big shareholders and then like a multiple shareholder? How do you see that? Proportions? Yeah, just one.
Yeah, I think those are things to think, and they will be answered in time. And also, of course, the way we design the space can be attracting one or the other more.
Okay.
And I think it should be for everyone. I think a company like a web design company should feel comfortable to be there in the same way as my grandma having cafe
Cool.
at Lois.
Galao. Some galao.
But it doesn't really answer to my question. I understand that you accept all crowds, but for who is funding the company? Who are the owners of the company? Because if you want to get a bank loan, these kind of things.
That's a question for you, Ben. Like, how would you fund it? How would you? What
Benoit, I just want to challenge an assumption there, Benoit, that it's a company. Like I'm not saying it's not a company, but your question implies that it's definitely a company, which I'm open to it being. I'm also open to it not being a company.
Or a different type of company.
Right, yeah.
It depends, guys, but for you to be able to be involved in the project, you need to spend your time, right? So you need a source of income, right?
Yeah.
So,
but they all do have different sources of income.
I don't know.
I
don't know yet.
Most of them have remote.
Not living on the street here, Benoit.
Huh?
Yeah. Ben, I understand that you have more questions, and maybe one good way of doing this is we could have another meeting.
Well, okay, maybe it's not.
Next Tuesday, on Tuesdays, it doesn't need to be next one. On Tuesdays, we actually have a time for that. So if you want to have a chat with me and whoever wants to join, will be cool. And because we have a few of those answers already, but right now. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Right, it's me. Yes. Me. Everything else you said, plus one of the most important things here, and I think is it's when I say it, everybody will be like, yeah, that, but sometimes it's hard to keep it in mind. So what if the space by itself made no money? Okay, the space by itself would not be sustainable, but would be designed in a way that would create the conditions for the projects to be so sustainable that all the projects would be willing to fund the space. So this meaning for Common, as a design company, the space would be so important as a resource, as a tool, that we actually would be willing to pay rent or be shareholders or stakeholders or whatever others. Sponsors, supporters, whatever, pay subscription, whatever. So instead of thinking of how could we do small things that would make a little bit of money, like for example, the co-working space, thinking that if we have 20 seats, X, this amount of money makes this amount, so pays this amount of the rent. We're thinking, hey, the co-working space is really cheap, but we're attracting so good people that are bringing us projects. And for me, it's bringing me clients, work, new projects, new ideas, possible sponsors, a VC, whatever. Stop.
Yes, that's how I see it as well. And anything that would be exactly that way, that the space itself would not be it would be a project, but it would not be our or anybody's main project. It would be carried by the projects inside of the project, and all the money that would come extra would be for paying for the people who work for the space project and for developing the space. But of course, it's really important that we can make it sustainable, that we can pay the rent or the land or whatever it is. How? I guess all these that are already mentioned, all the crowdfunding, local funding, council. But I think in that sense, it needs to be the projects inside, plus then support smaller amounts of money for different functions.
Ita, can I go?
Give me a second. Okay, I lost it.
You don't have to take all the notes.
She's writing.
I am. So yes, I was thinking that direction that you just said. So sponsorships and like, how is it called? Patreons. So the users would be patrons and not just users. Everyone that would see the space and the project as a asset or a benefit. And there's, like, from our experience, we know that there's a lot of people that would support a project like that, to have a project like that happening, because they see the value of having that as an option. And so, yeah, and I guess if we can have big Patreons would be great, but I guess the main users and projects in there will be the bigger investors. And the investors and owners, I guess the project would always go with the users' needs and wants.
Good. Right, money. I just wanted to add as a last thing that it's really important what John said about it's safer to get money from a lot of different things, even if it's like small, like for example, if we have a subscription just to like membership thing, really small, like €9, €9.99, and we get 20 people that pay that, it's already something. And then we get, you know, the restaurant, for example, could pay a percentage of the profits. You know, all these different things, and then the sponsorship from the city for the space, for the rent, all these things. Then at least keeps us always like we don't have to worry too much if we're going to have money to pay the rent or keep the lights on and all that stuff, because then we all also have our own projects and companies and businesses.
I was also thinking of adding, maybe since we're thinking of doing workshops with kids, having a library, maybe if we want to provide access to the public for this, we can do like a monthly fee.
Yeah, I can
families who want to bring in, and even for workshops, we can do like kind of a one catch-all, something like that. So.
Right. We have another question.
Go on that, Pedro. And that's that. Obviously, because of the way the question was asked, which was about funding, we've discussed money coming in, but the other variable is money going out. And so one way of making it sustainable is simply like to have the attitude or philosophy that, particularly if it's a testing philosophy, that you spend as much as you need to spend until you have enough money, and then you spend more.
Exactly.
You know,
that's really.
I think it's worth discussing like how little we spend and how much we fund.
Yeah, instead of starting, hey, let's already start with the 500 square meters space with the 5,000 euros.
Exactly.
And yeah, let's try to fill that up. No.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
And I think
should be somehow put somewhere.
I think that is also something that can, or at least in my point of view, goes to the whole project. Is really important. The, how do we call it? Minimizing everything.
Right. We have to go. So keep all those ideas. Try to make notes. If you didn't talk about something, just make like a few words so you remember, and then bring it back. Remember also that we can always, and it's actually good because otherwise we stay in this group and nobody else has participated. Some people wanted to come today that didn't come, and we want to give them the option to continue this conversation. So we'll bring this to the group. Sometimes a post with one question is a lot more beneficial than all, hey, here is an update with 300 million things to read about. So yeah. So if you think there's something really important for us to come, John already mentioned having a brainstorm just specific about the money issue or the sustainability issue topic. Okay, let's try to do this one a little bit quicker. So how do we make it open for everyone? Anyone? Vika.
This is hard because what we did in past, we thought that we were doing the right thing, and what we got back was exactly.
Focus on that energy. We'll go there.
Yes. I don't know, by talking openly and I don't know, being true to ourselves and being humble and honest about it and talk about everything openly. I don't know what else. I think that's all we can do. That's all. No.
So I could say a lot about this. This is what we've been doing for a million years before, and we've done all the possible mistakes. We also actually are working on a specific thing of a specific approach being open to everyone. And it's really, really important for us. It's important for us to have our kids involved in the project. It's important for us to involve other different types of people. And we're going to have it because we're not going to the city. We're not going to Porto. We're not going to Lisbon. This is a small town of fishermen. And either you're open to that or we're going to suffer. We can't just have the surfers with their lattes and Instagram accounts. We're going to have a few, maybe a lot, but really, openness and design for anyone to participate, and always try to make it better every time. Like, what is not working? How can we make this work better? And not lingering that, like, this is happening and that person did this, like almost create more important than anything else, create a culture that everybody feels like, let's just go ahead, try to make this better. So there's a problem, like use it as a challenge, make it better. This is, we can say this is inspiring to hear this, but it's something really hard to do. So I love it. I struggle with it as anybody else, but it's something that I think it's important. And Ben?
I think it's an interesting project. I like the part where you want to include local people as well. I think it's a very important thing. Since Peniche is a rather small area where people know each other pretty well, I guess. If some people from the area can come and visit and do things with you and learn from this, benefit from the experience of people from all over the place who are going to come there, it's important that there is some exchange between the locals and the foreigners. And if it can be beneficial to both, then it's definitely going to be a strong point. That's how I see this thing. To me, there is a part of it. I need to be honest with you. There is a part of it that seems a bit like an utopia, kind of. And,
The beach.
why? And so I think you need to defining some structure will help to make it. You need to be accepted by everybody, by the locals specifically, and other people. And this is, I think, it's a lot. It needs to be thought of very thoroughly how to get along with everybody.
Yeah.
Voilà.
Not everybody, but yes. We're
Yeah.
always,
Yeah.
we're going to always try.
People of goodwill, let's say.
Right. Nice.
In terms of answering the question of the different age groups, I would say we could do a lot of activities. Have volunteers to facilitate activities, as we said, board games, even art workshops. Even when kids are playing like in a free area, like I don't know, like outdoors, maybe we can tap a certain age group to look out for the little ones, and I think they do this in a lot of schools as well. Yeah, I think everybody plays a role and we can all work together.
Really good points.
I think regarding the kids, you need to check out the legal matters, like people looking after the kids. There needs to be there must be some regulations in Portugal,
Yeah.
how it goes, and that part has to be thoroughly checked.
Yeah. Especially the conditions of the place.
Mm-hmm.
Tita.
Just finishing writing. Yeah, I guess communication is key, and having not a set of rules, but having like a base of how do we communicate and how do we deal with each other in the space, and have that like a motto or something, and that we treat everyone equally. So like kids, we treat them equally and we talk to them, because I know that there's lots of people that have difficulty talking with kids that they don't know or that they're not their kids. And I know that that's essential, and it makes a huge difference. And also with, not just with kids, with everyone. And yeah, I guess, yeah, having different ages, and like we had the experiences with older kids also being in the space and being a big help with the younger ones, and also having elders there also helps with having it ends up working like a family, or like it takes a village. So but I agree with the rules and the setting the mindset.
Good.
Done.
John.
think I have contradictory things to say.
Good.
One is, in terms of children, is to respect kids, that they are smart, brilliant, future adults, and that and that I've seen it in Ivor's school because the kids are so respected, they take more mature decisions than I've ever seen children take. So just respecting them is vital. Second one is, I do think there's a need for guiding with children, which isn't necessarily telling them what to do, but helping them to find the ways in which they choose to operate. So facilitating children. I think there could be like explicit roles, or at least passing that role around, maybe, I don't know, but I think that's an explicit need. Designing the space with children in mind, and maybe even designing the space with children, I think is vital. I love what you said to me before, Pedro, about the focused, interactive, and interactive focused. I can really see how that would work really well with children. And then the last one I had was, it actually was something I said in the brainstorm earlier, is a process or a forum in which we build the rules together, and children can be invited to discuss those rules too. And again, at Ivor's school, we have weekly council meetings, and they seem to manage to sort out, 7-year-olds manage to build the rules together, and it works. But I think it's all possible, and it's been done before. We just need to be deliberate about practicing it, which I find really difficult. I'll put my hands up. I try hard. I try very, very hard, but I don't succeed all the time. That's me.
Yep.
For me, the question, I see it as like internally making the space, the people who've already signed up to using it, as inclusive, and also there's the external kind of place in working with the community, the local community, but also our virtual communities as well. And I think, going back to what Anna was saying, having some clear principles, I suppose, and being able to communicate those clearly, I think will help to help people work internally, but also to communicate to other people externally that they can be involved. And so I think I was like thinking that, from what I'm hearing, some of our principles might be about sustainability, about community and participatory processes locally, about inclusivity and collaboration. And so I think internally, if we use those principles, or whatever else we might want to add, but also being able to communicate that externally to the local community, whether we go into their spaces of where the fishmongers hang out, I don't know, or in the pub or the local council meetings, but then also about our social media channels to cast the net wider, I think, to encourage that inclusivity, which you've already started with the Facebook group as well. So I think, having those making those principles clear and guidelines for us, that we can then share to let people in, really.
Okay. Right.
We kind of missed.
I'm going to jump in as my timekeeper. We've got 2 minutes to the end of the meeting.
Yeah. I knew it. You were going. So the question now is, how are we? And do we want to continue? We stop this now and go wrap it up, or we stay a few more minutes? How do you feel about that?
I could go on. I mean, keep going.
Keep on keeping on.
We could stay probably another 10 minutes, but then I think Ivor's going to make me.
Okay.
Because I respect my job.
Ben has to go because he has to pick up our daughter.
Ben, if you're going, come one of these Tuesdays. Let's chat more.
Okay, thank you very much, guys, for listening. Bye-bye.
À plus.
À plus. Ah, en plus, il parle français.
Ah oui.
C'est bien.
You just realized that John spoke French.
You should have told me that before.
Okay, so let's try to.
Have your meeting.
I don't.
You represent me.
This is Ben's representative.
Dinosaur.
1 minute bio break. I'm back.
Okay.
T-Bag. The B is new nickname, T-Bag. Or Ben Rex. Ben Rex, Rex Max.
What?
He could start his own. How is it called? Real estate.
Agency.
Real estate
Ben Rex.
agency.
T-Rex. What?
2 minutes.
Okay.
2 minutes. Please, does.
You have the kids knocking on the door.
They're watching TV, so they're happy.
But Ayo is excited. So sorry.
Had to put Netflix on.
And Ayo has been doing the Khan Academy, so now it's
Ah.
He started today and he wants to do everything today.
How old is he now?
10.
Wow. Hello, India. So cute.
Oh, I can't see.
So shy she is.
Indy.
all.
Hello.
Yeah.
Indy. Eu vi-te. Ah. Cuckoo.
Oh,
So cute.
hiding.
It's on.
She doesn't have any
O
voice.
gato comeu tua língua, Índia. Ah. Olá.
She had a rough day yesterday, so today she doesn't have a voice.
She had a what?
A rough day. I think.
She's only 3 years old. How can she have a rough day?
I don't know. Anything can be hard.
Great. We have 3 more questions. I think one we can do really fast. I think we're into it. I'm going to propose this, and John, you tell me if you agree, because it was something proposed by you, because I think it's really important. I have something interesting to propose about that, and I think we could have that conversation in the group, which is the how to test this, the prototype. So what I'm proposing is you make that question at the group, and so we right there. How do you feel about that?
So just to be clear, you're asking, are you saying that I write that question in the Facebook group?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that one. And so,
Because I think it needs multiple perspectives, and it probably needs some local perspectives.
Yeah.
So I think the group's a good place to do that for both those reasons.
Good. So I'm going to propose that the 2 other questions will be made into one. And the question goes like this. What would you be willing to do in the project? Like, this is the one thing that I want to do above all. And can also be, it doesn't need to be like very specific, or can go as specific as possible. So you can say, I want to have this part of the project and I want to lead that one. Or you can say, in all the projects, there's this one thing that I'm interested about, like communication, for example. And then say, what would you need for that to happen? What would you need from the group, from the project, for you to be able to do that? Everybody understood that? Yes? Question? Are you ready, Gabs, to do that?
Yes.
So can I just check on the question? It's, if it could be one thing, what would that thing be? And what do I need from the group in order to make that thing happen?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is it just one thing? There's too many things that I want to do.
I think it can be several things, as long as you're like completely sure about them. You know, like that. Like I know a lot of things. Completely sure as help, but it's not my turn. It's your turn.
I think you need to repeat what you just said because you were breaking a lot.
Okay. Is it better now? Better?
Yes,
Better?
I think
Okay.
so.
Yeah. So I was saying that it can be many things, as the same as I will propose many things, but you need to be sure, like, this is something that I will do.
Okay.
Oh, it feels good.
Maybe-
It feels big. In a good. This feels powerful.
So do I go now? Am I going from my end?
Yes, you are.
It doesn't mean that you're signing a contract right now. Kind of, yes.
Peer
my-
pressure.
Right. I want the school, like the school learning play area. I need that for like us to probably move to Peniche to like live there. But I don't want to lead on it. I want you to lead on it. So, but I'm contributing like shaper maker. The yoga, well-being, meditation space is something I would want and like to build for myself. Yeah. What do I need from other people? Mainly like help with the like space, I think. Well, actually I need to pass my yoga teacher training, but that's I don't know what I need at the moment. It's more about the local like space, I think, and that's yeah, we don't have the knowledge of that at the moment to kind of for the school or the bigger space. That's a bit of a blind spot for me. I'm not sure. Is that enough? Oh.
It's whatever you want. You will learn with the next answers from everybody. Joan.
I know it's 10:06, dude.
I've got 3 minutes. Come say hi.
You're in this stage where vague time isn't good. Roughly 10 o'clock is too vague. It needs to be 10. I need. I think I need you. I'm trying to speak to these people. I'm finding it quite tricky. You can join if you'd like. It's up to you. Sorry, I wanna feel present to share my thing. If the space could be one thing, it would be a space where children and adults can be together and can be apart together.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it needs both of those things. So if it could be one thing, it would be a space where children and adults can be together and be apart together. What I need to make that happen, first of all, I think I need to commit like to myself. Because actually, like, if I think of what I need from others, I actually just need, I can do it. I just need to like grab it and do it. I think what I do need maybe is because I feel distant, like geographically distant, as well as my knowledge of the area is that I did 2 1-week holidays on Balear Island to surf, which is quite a limited knowledge of the area. I think I need to test something. I need to spend time in a space with you guys and your children and other people who aren't in this virtual room, possibly for I don't know how long, maybe a couple of weeks or something, to see how it works and to learn and to iterate. I think that's what I need, like a concrete experience is I think what I need. But now I'm asking myself, what do I need to make that happen? And I don't know. I don't know. I think I need maybe suggestions on how to make that happen.
I think what could help you as well, I think also because you haven't been so many times with us.
Yeah.
It's a suggestion, same as I gave to Ben. If you want to have a more focused conversation.
Yeah.
With a group of us, or just a few, or one or two, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be helpful.
Yeah. I agree. Thanks, Pedro.
Right, keep that.
It's really difficult for me to say I'm going to do one thing because I'm like I do a bunch of them. I'm always like carrying like this bunch of stuff, and I like to do lots of different things. And what was the question? What?
Would be one thing or things that you would do in the project that you feel like you want to do, and what do you need from the group for that to happen?
Yeah, it's hard. It's so hard. Like I go and I grab something and I do it, and then I go to another thing and I stuck.
Okay, that's good. That's why we love her.
Yeah.
Lois, wanna go?
You're muted.
For me, it would mainly be about food because I don't know. I feel like I'm really crazy about that part, and I also have a tendency to spread my energy around. So it's probably best that I focus on one thing. And when it comes to the restaurant, I want to do the farm to table concept. So it would probably be either with our own garden or in partnership with other organic gardens in the area. I mean, farms and gardens. And what I would need to make it happen is, of course, the space. It has to have a working kitchen, and I don't know, maybe there are some permits related to that. So there's a lot of research that I need to do with the help of a lot of people, and also feedback. Like, food seems easy, but when you really think of it, there's also a question of what would sell. Like, are you going to cater to just the locals? Are you going to cater to the foreigners? Or what kind of concept is it going to be? So there's part of it where there's research involved, and there's part of it where you also have to just test it, like what would work, right? So, and other things I could probably work on as well. I would love to lead workshops, especially with kids. Maybe some culinary workshops where they can learn English because I don't speak Portuguese, and activities like that. Did you say something, Pedro?
If they learn English, you learn Portuguese.
Yeah, perfect, right? They're going to learn faster than. That's it.
Okay, so me, I'm not, I am like Tita, but different. I like to go like really deep into things. So the one thing that I think is the reason for things to work, it's really the how. It's how it works, because without that, things can be many things. There's many reasons to do different things. All of us have, even if sometimes similar, there are different reasons. There's different whys we're doing this. And what we're going to do in the end, it's not so important because can change. We can get in love with something. We can we can change our minds, we can try something and then do something else. So it doesn't matter so much. I have a few what's that I want to do, as the design lab and like the working space and the workshops and all that. But really, I know what makes it work is how we work. And that's the one thing that we will have to share. That's the one thing that we will have to all agree with. That's what will make us possible to live together and spend so much time together, energy, and go through the bad times and the hard times. And so that's the one thing that I'll be. It doesn't mean that it's going to be me owning it, but I will always be pursuing it and proposing it and talking a lot about it. What do I need from people? Mostly, from my experience in the past 10 years of working with groups of people, what I really need from people is commitment and support. So, and when I say commitment is not, I'm not talking about accountability. I'm not talking about I commit to do this and then I fail and then it's a problem. What I'm saying is people really committing, is like getting excited about something and going forth on it and then fail, and it's not a problem, but just, push for that. And support, even though it's a collaborative project, projects leading big things are always at some point lonely for any of us. At some point we will feel lonely as we are struggling with something to make it happen in our own projects, inside the big projects. And so I need to feel that the people around me are supporting me, even if it's sometimes just to, you can do it, or push, or like. That's it.
For me, the most important thing is to be able to provide that kind of environment for our kids that we want, that is open, that has a lot of different kinds of people, that are from different fields and think differently, but are there for the same reason. And I guess that is the most important. What I need for that to happen is, I guess, the commitment for people to do things in a certain way and be open. I guess that's. Yes, I'm crying with each question and getting smiles next to me all the time. I'm emotional anyway, so. And the second most important thing is food.
Food?
Yes.
Food makes it go.
Yes. That is essential. I like food, and food is life. Good? Yes.
Right. We did it. Woo! Okay, so unmute yourself.
I muted. I did yoo-hoo!
That was the lamest yoo-hoo ever.
Woo!
Okay, guys, wrap it up really fast. It was really good. I will want everybody to check out. So basically say, how do you feel about today?
Oh,
and then
so cute.
And then say, check out. Oh my God.
It's muted, so it doesn't get wet.
Hola. Hola, bom dia.
Hola.
Hiya.
Sorry.
Meeting.
Good.
That's a good checkout.
Uh-huh. And so what happens next is that there's a few tasks that we didn't do, and it's a few hours of work here still. So what I ask you to do is, I still need to rephrase a little bit of the questions because of these last things. What I need is, in the documents, the questions, I will make space and add your answers to the questions. Okay, there. Then, in the Padlet, you can write separately the ideas, and you can take photos and put them there directly to the Padlet. You can be creative. You can do whatever you want. The Padlet also lets us make groups of things. So feel free to make that. And there's arrows. We can put arrows to join things, okay? So it doesn't need to be today. If you feel to do today, it's fine. But in the next few days, it would be nice until Tuesday to have it all and then shared in the group. One task for John, which is to make the last question in the group, start the conversation about it, and to pursue it, because it might be that you don't get any big answers there. So just continue the conversation. It's also a training for you. And that's it. It was good, I guess. I feel very good. I'm going to check out. I feel really good. I feel excited. I just want to do stuff. I want to go today, do things in Peniche. And
It's raining there though, so.
No, today is not. It's sunny.
I feel good. It's really exciting to hear your own desires coming from other people's mouths. It's really good. It feels nice. It feels that we can do this. Check out.
I check.
I check out.
I check.
I.
Nice.
Oh,
Here.
Okay, Chase too. Hello.
Diz olá. Diz olá.
Nice to meet you.
Tanta vergonha.
Diz em finlandês. Moi.
Moi.
Oi. Oi.
Même si peu de lame, mais ça se mange pas.
Nice. Check out.
Was there a question? I didn't really catch that.
It's just, how do you feel about today, and I check out.
Oh, okay. I feel great. I think there was a great exchange today of ideas, and I think not just ideas, but it's really backed up by action, and a lot of us are willing to do what it takes. So I feel great about that.
Check out.
Check out. Does that mean bye?
Yes. It's just saying that you.
What?
It's just saying that you are finished.
Oh, I'm done. Yeah.
It's a ritual. And check out.
Check out. Yeah. Sorry.
Me? Yes, I'm good. Really good. I think, yeah, these are important, and we should keep it up frequently. And yeah, I want to go and do stuff and put stuff in. Yeah. Out.
I check out.
I check out. Paper.
It's all hard. John.
I feel, what emotions do I feel? I feel more engaged, more involved, more committed. I feel really thankful actually as well. My job the last 10 years has been to do what you're doing now, Pedro, and I'm very rarely on the other side. And I feel so welcome and involved being on the other side. So I'm thankful to you for creating this space, because it feels really great. Yeah, I just feel like in. I'm in now.
I said to everyone, I'm going to get John to come to this meeting.
Yeah, no, I feel in. It's like been tricky for me to I feel like it's something I'm trying to catch on to, and I miss, but I feel like I've caught on to it, and that might have some downsides for you guys because I might push quite hard, but I'm in. So thank you for being.
You already know who's going to facilitate the next, right?
Ah, shit.
Mhm.
And I check out.
I feel excited. I feel really excited. I feel a bit emotional at the potential for what we could do together, and just everybody sharing their passions and their kind of why they're driven to do it. I think that's going to be the main thing that makes it happen. I think so. Yeah, I feel excited and feel like I've got to go and hang out with my kid now as well because he's been distracting me.
Feeling a little bit.
The school has to happen. But yeah, thank you.
It's nice that you say that and you always look at John.
I know.
I know. John. But thank you, everyone. I am checked out.
Woohoo! Woo! Thank you, everybody. Talk soon. Hey, Ben, do you want to check out? We can't hear you.
I want to thank you for welcoming me into your discussion, your group. Even though I'm completely, for now, I'm outside of it. I'm just discovering what this is about. So firstly, thanks for the inclusive part. And I wish you good luck with all of this. And I'm going to pay some attention to how this thing evolves, because I'm very curious how this thing is going to evolve, how it's going to develop, and if I can bring my little experience to the project, I'll be very happy to do so.
You have to say check out.
So I check out.
Everybody, thank you. Talk soon.
Bye.
Notes, please. Ciao.
Oh, and they're all out.
There.
That's what I was trying to say, and I muted.
And yeah, then you should also